Hey everybody, welcome to the Photo 30 Roadshow. I'm Steve,
I'm Craig.
and tonight's assignment is lighting glass. This is what the end result should look like. Elegant looking glassware, nice even background, and kind of sexy edges. Conventional thinking says to most people, let's just put the light up, point it at the glass, and we'll light the glass up and we'll get the background lit all in one. But this is what happens here is you get these ugly highlights dancing all over the glass.
Yeah, you can see all those speculars because the glass is acting like a lens. It has many surfaces.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to what our goal shot is here. So let's break this down and how we got there.
All right, so the first thing you want to do is you'll see in the other videos we're using a white background. The light's pointed toward the background. It's fairly centered, but this is what happens if we don't get a nice even spread of the light. We can still see some separation, but it's not very good up here at the top.
This is where the light's centered, but it's pointed downward too low in the background. It's kind of fun to look at that highlight on the top of the glass, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting how the light's refracting into it.
And what it says to me is there's potential to get that light on the rim of the glass to look that bright.
And here's where the light was panned up too high. It still gets good definition, but you can see it starts to get dark down here in the corners. Our plexiglass got lit up because it's mirroring this light background, but it's just not as elegant or subtle of a solution.
It's not. So that's why we've given you the target image that we like, because we're basically your clients.
And here it's panned up and to the left. You can see how it's getting dark in the corner. Has a little creative potential, which we're going to show you later on how you can use this. But it's not giving us a symmetrical defining of the glass. Look how clean it is on the left. But then it starts to get a little muddy over here on the right.
Yeah, it looks like they didn't pay attention to details.
Yeah, and here it's panned obviously way too low on the right. Can be very interesting, but we've lost a lot of the glass.
I think that's the fun part about exploring light like this, is to see how some of the areas refract or illuminate, like again the top rim or the bowl of the glass itself. Obviously, it's not what we're looking for, but it does give me a learning opportunity to see what's there.
And that's exactly right. The only way to learn is if you experiment. If you were to set it up and nail it the first time but didn't look at all the possibilities, you can't see how you might use this in the future. Now we went to a smaller grid.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it starts to look a little more artistic.
Yeah, artistic.
From a standpoint of e-commerce or packaging, might be a little problem for your client separation-wise. We're starting to get a little dark over here, but it starts to make it seem more of a creative solution.
And again, if in the product line of photography, we have that e-commerce side, and then we also have those beauty images that sort of capture our attention. And this is one that could possibly do that.
And here we went.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to go there. But do you want to say this was the 20-degree grid that we switched to, or the 10?
We switched to a 10.
This is the 10-degree grid.
Started with the 40 and went to a 10.
So, and we encourage you to shoot this also, so that you have a reference point. If you move the light a little bit farther away from the background, these corners up here would start to have a little bit better shape to them, but definitely experiment. Then we thought, let's have some fun, which we encourage you to do.
Yep.
We put a blue gel over the light.
I'm feeling the blues.
The blues. It absorbed a lot of light because gels do that. So we opened up 2/3 of a stop.
2/3.
And then another 2/3. See, it's much more delicate, gave us some detail, but it's a pretty exciting shot. You could see this might be interesting as a background plate to use in other photographs.
Think about even putting, for an artistic sake, 3, 4, 6 different wine glasses out there, and how the highlights and shadows might overlap in a fun compositional
That's a great idea.
type of an image.
And here we tried red. It's very heavy, but opened up 2/3 of a stop and another 2/3 of a stop. This has the same exposure feeling as the blue, but it's a hot, rich color. It's good saturation.
Very deep.
Next, we went back to our standard image without
No
the
color-
gel,
no color
but it
gels.
still has that smaller grid on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to try one more thing.
We put some water in this. The water actually, the lens now acts like a lens, and so we can see directly straight through it, but the edges now are refracting or seeing the absence of light from the room that we're in. That's why they look so big and so dark, because we're in the big studio space. So they're actually refracting the negative, the negative or the absence of light. But again, that experimentation kind of gives us a little visual interest, and we're learning as we go. Let's see what the next picture, what do we do next?
And before we leave this one, for you Photoshop experts, you could take a picture of a person swimming in here,
Yeah.
or drop something in.
Yeah, totally.
You could have some fun, drop it in, or you could use this as your next background for your Zoom video. Okay, next thing we did was to go to a larger grid.
Larger grid, because we wanted to open up the black areas of that's kind of we're seeing on the edges. There's no information there. It's really too dark. So more open grid, and then I think we took the grid off to even.
And then we took the grid off completely here because it needs to see more of that background.
And this is a very pretty shot. I mean, depending on the kind of liquid and fluid you have in there, the gradient shadows or edges that wrap around the glass, both where the fluid is and where it is not, look really attractive. So, and I think we did one or two more variations after this with some color.
And then we decided to have some fun. This is just food coloring that we dropped in.
Yeah.
You can see it starts to create these little like amoeba shapes, little aliens.
Yep.
This dot down here is actually a reflection in the bottom of the glass. And as the food coloring was blending in, we were taking multiple captures to let it grow and evolve.
Yeah. Can we zoom in just on one of these? Because I said during this, if I had a macro lens, it would be fun to come in and shoot a really shallow depth of field, maybe focus on the foreground and give us a sense of actually us being inside of this web of color as it evolves. If you can just imagine that.
And this is one of those things you can do on your own, having fun while you are at home, just experimenting, shooting. At some point, I know we're going to ask for that Alien Bee back from you, but the Alien Bee is not that expensive a light. If you went to Home Depot and bought one of their work lights or ordered it on Amazon and pointed at a white background, you could shoot an interesting series on this and have some fun.
I think one of the key takeaways from this is letting clear glass in a clean commercial sense, but also learning to explore and having that curiosity to try new things and observe what happens as you continue to try those new things. Even if it's not that doesn't produce the end result that you're looking for, sometimes the little parts that you see along the way are really amazing.
And the process of just practicing, shooting, having some fun without there being a goal other than enjoying photography.
Totally. Yep.
Now, you can see here, this was the last shot where the food coloring started to pool at the bottom and it just doesn't have the subtlety. But this has a lot of potential to have a fun factor to it. And we chose a wine glass just because of the elegant shape, but it could be any glass, any container that you want. And I think that was our last one. Yeah, that was our last shot.
So, have fun with it.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, and please experiment. And you can turn in multiple files. We want that nice clean one is the first shot that we'll go back and just review that.
And then turn in a couple, something that you really had some fun with. Show them off a little bit.
Sure, we want to see you do this to show a high level of your skill, and then all the rest can be fun. Any color gel you want, food coloring. Even if you wanted to drop a cherry in the liquid and then drop the food coloring.
Splash shot, yeah.
Splash, dropping a strawberry in there.
As we talk about it, we seem to kind of, our creativity evolves too.
Yeah, I think we're going to go try that splash right now.
With a whiskey and a cherry.
That sounds good.
Okay, out.
All right, we'll see you next time. This is Craig.
Steve.
Out.